President Biden repeatedly dodging questions about whether he would take a neurological test after his disastrous debate performance, despite growing fallout.
Have you had the specific cognitive tests, and have you had a neurologist, a specialist, do an examination?
No, no one said I had to. No one said, they said I'm good.
Would you be willing to undergo an independent medical evaluation that included neurological and cognitive tests and release the results to the American people?
Look, I have a cognitive test every single day. Every day I have that test.
Dr. Marc Siegel raised concerns about the president's cognitive abilities back in 2020 right here on Fox, and he joins us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Siegel.
Morning, Ainsley. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So what if he did agree to a cognitive test or a neurological test with a professional, with a doctor? What would that look like?
Well, the one that President Trump had when he was in office was called the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, where you are given a list of words, and then a few minutes later you're asked to recall them. Then you're also asked to copy objects. It's an issue of making sure that you're oriented, that you are oriented to time, place, person. It tests thinking, learning, understanding, remembering, and most of all, paying attention and judgment. Now, those words might sound familiar. They're what a president needs most of all. Decision-making, focusing in, attention, orientation. And the other issue is, and, you know, we started pointing this out 4 years ago. I mean, the media is pointing it out now. With all due respect to George Stephanopoulos, I was talking about this with Sean Hannity 4 years ago, because that's when it looked like we were starting to see signs of what's called mild cognitive impairment. To the public now, it looks like it's progressed more. We don't know. I'm not his doctor. I haven't examined him. But there's issues clearly with spatial orientation, with severe memory lapses. And another thing that the media did, which didn't do him any favors, was call these gaffes. It's not a gaffe if you have an error that's related to something going on with your thinking, judgment, attention. These are really important things, and the patient is always the last to know, Ainsley.
Yeah, I know. You hate to speculate, but I've heard different people, sundowner syndrome, which is affiliated with dementia, or Alzheimer's, where later at night you get confused when the sun goes down, and then you might be better the next morning, which could explain why he does better at rallies during the day, or Parkinson's or vascular dementia, I've heard. If he has any of these, if this is your loved one after you watch that debate, wouldn't you definitely schedule a doctor's appointment? And if they do, would they schedule an MRI? Would that information be public?
First of all, I think an MRI is even more important than a cognitive test at this point. If you did a cognitive test, it would be very helpful if he didn't score well. But if he scored borderline, we wouldn't know what that means. An MRI would show something you just talked about. If you had insufficient blood flow to tiny pockets of your brain because you have atrial fibrillation, which is an irregular heartbeat, which he does have, by the way, that might show up. That might well show up. Some of the other things you talked about, and I won't speculate, but I want to point out that Alzheimer's, I don't think that's what this is, because that usually has a lot of more behavioral issues than he's showing. And Parkinson's, you know, they talk a lot about somebody visiting him, but they specifically said on his last exam he didn't have it. Now, if Dr. O'Connor's going to put in writing he doesn't have Parkinson's, I would respect that. But he danced around what he might actually have, and I find that very disappointing. I think transparency is what you need in democracy, actually, and I think we need a lot more of it here.
Yeah, we do wish him well. It's been very sad to see him, you know, go down so quickly over the last 4 years. Thank you so much, Dr. Siegel, for coming on.
That's very important that we show him compassion and empathy. Absolutely. Thank you, Ainsley.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.